Hello, welcome back everyone. Today we are going to talk about Lean Canvas, the concept everybody knows already. Lean Canvas is actually a very simple concept. It's a one-page document. It's one-page business plan template that help you deconstruct your ideas into its key assumptions. It has been optimized for lean startups as well. Now the benefits, there are many, but one thing that you cannot forget about the benefits of Lean Canvas is it is something that people can actually read. Now, if you think about it, the reason you create a business plan is for investors and strategic partners and customers to read and understand your businesses. The problem is, usually business plan is too long. And it's too long for you to write and too long for them to read. So it is actually rarely read. Therefore, when you actually have something that is visual and easy to communicate with, and that explains the entire business in a nutshell in one page, that actually helps your business. So this is how Lean Canvas looks. There are 9 blocks, including problem, customer segments, unique value proposition, and unfair advantage. We are going to talk about each block and what it really means, so you can understand the purpose of this Lean Canvas and how to fill out the Lean Canvas and use it properly. Okay, let's begin. The first is problem and customer segment. When you're reading through articles and when you're looking up the internet, sometimes you see these Lean Canvases that has numbers from 1 to 9. Sometimes people say you need to fill out problem first. Sometimes they say no, you have to go with customer segments first. The thing is, they are intrinsically connected. So you cannot separate them in any way. You have to do it at the same time. The reason for that is each customer segment have unique set of problems. So just because you see a problem in a market, you cannot just apply that to any customer segment. If you're talking about the one specific customer segment, they have unique set of problems as well. So either you identify your target customer segment first and then list a few high priority problems, or you list the problems first and then identify the target customer that is most closely related. Once you do that, you need to find the solution. Okay, this is something that you cannot forget, and this has to stick with you through entire lecture series. Solution is not in your office. You need to go out there. You need to have something, go out there, ask the customers, get their feedbacks, and you need to go from there. So I'll say this again. Solution is not in your office. Now, and then after that, you need to write down unique value proposition. Unique value proposition is the primary reason why a customer should buy from you. Sometimes startups write down all the good things about industry or some generic product that you can just see in the market. Or even when you have some specific solutions in artificial intelligence, you say all the good things about artificial intelligence, but not specifically about your product. Unique value proposition is about your product, why people should buy from you. What separates your product from your competitors? That's what unique value proposition is about. So, 2 things. 1, solution is not in your office. Don't sit in a desk and try to do something about it. Go out there. Ask customers. Talk with them. Learn from them and go from there. Unique value proposition is about your product. Why customers have to buy from you. Not some generic product, from you. As long as you can say that, you're halfway there. Now, some people say unfair advantage might be the most difficult block to answer. Well, actually, I have seen that happen, and this is why I think that happens. Okay, let's start from here. People say the only real competitive advantage that you have is You have something that cannot be copied or bought. That is yours and yours only. If you have something like that, then you have a competitive advantage. Now, when we say unfair advantage, it's about you or your team or your company. If you have insider information, that's good for you. If you have intellectual property, good for you. If you have some endorsement from industry guru or experts, that's really good as well. If you already have existing customers, that's unfair advantage as well. So at this point in this block, you don't really talk about your product, technology itself, or your services. You're talking about you and your company. If you have a dream team, that's good. If you have existing customers, write something about it. That's unfair advantage that cannot be copied or bought by other companies. So if you keep that in mind, then you will be fine filling out this section. Now, we move on to a profit structure. When you're talking about profit, there are two things that you need to think about. One is the cost structure, and the other is revenue streams. Startups usually have one of the two problems, and if you don't have any of those, then you're really fine. If you have both of them, then you have a really big problems. Okay, one problem is they usually underestimate the cost. When you're trying to run the business, not only your daily expenses, you have cost of goods sold, marketing expenses, research and development expenses, and a whole bunch of other expenses as well. And some startups go, oh, we don't really need to spend any money. We just run out of our garage and we don't get paid. There's no wage, there's nothing. So we don't really spend any money. It doesn't work that way. You need to think about exactly how much you are going to spend on a daily basis, monthly basis, and how much you allocated for sales and marketing as well. So do not underestimate the cost. So basically what you need to do is you need to write down everything that you can think of when it comes down to how much you are going to spend. Now, another set of problem is they usually overestimate the revenue. Yes, I understand that you want to elaborate and that you like to tell people, yes, we are going to have $10 million in revenue next year, $150 million in 2 years, but you cannot overestimate your revenue because that affects your break-even, that affects your valuation, and that affects your estimate about how much money you need to survive. The thing is, your revenue stream is affected by your pricing strategy as well. When you want to lower your price to enter the market or as a market penetration strategy, that affects your revenue stream. So think carefully about your pricing strategy and then start thinking about exactly how you start charging people on a regular price. So when the pricing strategy is fixed, then you can talk about the revenue stream. Then you can talk about your sales and marketing strategy as well. So when you do that, you have your profit structure. Okay, the next block is key metrics. Whatever the industry that you are in, whatever business that you are trying to run, you need to monitor your performances. Okay, here's the thing. You know what you're going to sell, you know who to sell it to, you know your profit structure. Now you need to know exactly what you are doing and you need to check where you are at in your plan. That's why we come up with these key metrics to measure your performances. A lot of companies use different metrics, but here's the thing, that we are going to talk about actionable metrics in the next lecture, but you need to come up with the actionable metrics that actually matter. If you keep looking at the variables that do not have anything to do with your actual performances, then it's very difficult to sustain your growth. One good way to start is a pirate metrics called AARRR. The reason why it is called a pirate metrics is because it sounds like a pirate, R. So this AARRR stands for acquisition, activation, retention, referral, and revenue. It applies really well to high-tech companies, especially like web-based companies or app companies. But at the same time, with a little bit of variations, with a little bit of modification, it can be applied to any type of products or services as well. So start with Pirate metrics. If you can come up with a better metrics, then it's really good. Now, you don't even have to use all 5 of them. You don't have to use Pirate metrics. You don't have to use 5 of them. You can just use 2 or 3. Just key metrics that can measure your performances, then you'll be fine. And now, the last one is channels. Although it might be the easiest one, a lot of companies have problems with this one. The reason for that is when we say channels, it usually means sales channels. So instead of writing down what matters, companies write down their sales channels, my partners, and they are my distributors. I sell my products through that company. That's not what we are talking about. Keep this in mind. What we are trying to do with Lean Canvas is that we are trying to learn as much as possible from the customers. So when we say channels, that means we are trying to find a way to communicate with our customers. If you are looking at the younger generations, we need to concentrate more on SNS and other methods that we can use to communicate with them. We cannot use paper magazines or newspapers to communicate with the younger generations. And if you're talking about older generations, senior citizens, then we cannot rely on today's communication channels. So we need to know exactly who our target customer is, then we need to come up with the proper communication channels so we can learn as much as possible. So we went through all these 9 blocks of Lean Canvas, and we know what they are now. In the next lecture, we are going to talk about how to fill out Lean Canvas in proper order so you can effectively use it. That's it for today's lecture, and thank you very much.